What's up friends, Sean here, welcome back to the channel. This is the last cannabis company review before I do my big comparison, so thank you for sticking it out so far. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Please remember to hit that like button if you guys are, that really helps the videos get out to more people. And I'll flash a few during this video. I'll cross the top in cards, so if you guys want to catch up on those ones, you can. I'll probably make a big playlist at the end of this too. Without further ado, let's get into today's company, which is Cresco Labs. This was suggested from a subscriber to cover this company, so I added it to the list just at the end here. So I'm going to do a company overview, quarterly news, financial highlights, and then the PS ratio and the buy, similar format to the other videos, guys. And let's just jump on into it now. All right, so let's start with the company overview, some fun facts about Cresco Labs. It's a US company founded in 2013 by Charlie Bachtel. Founded in 2013 by Charlie, who is currently serving as the CEO as well. So he's the founder and CEO. They cultivate and manufacture products in the cannabis sector, very similar to the other companies that we are looking at. Now, he has said this is a consumer packaged goods, a CPG company first and foremost, which is interesting. We're going to get into why that's important later. It's very similar to comments from Irwin about Tilray, focusing on the actual products first and foremost. Now, they operate currently in 10 states. They have 18 production facilities and 44 retail licenses and 32 dispensaries. So you can see that they're kind of vertically integrated. They've got sort of all the steps, but maybe not necessarily in all of the states. And as we know, that in the states, you kind of have to go on a state-by-state basis to kind of produce cannabis and sell it, hopefully in the same state. They have 350 products and 5,000 SKUs, which is actually pretty crazy. And they've got several brands that all of these products sort of go under, and here is the list. So the biggest ones are Cresco and Cresco Reserve. They are the flower, resin, concentrates, and pre-rolls. The Remedi, which is more of the wellness products. They've got like precise doses and capsules. Mindy's, which is partnered with a chef to come up with gummies, hard candies, and chocolates. Good News, which is more pre-rolls, gummies, and vapes. High Supply, which is loose flower, popcorn, vape, pre-rolls, and concentrates. The biggest difference there is they're kind of like they just got like different branding, a different sort of look and probably demographic there. Wonder Wellness is another wellness one. It's got low dose, more of an explorative kind of brand to get into this whole space. Sunnyside, which is a dispensary owned by Cresco, so that's kind of an interesting one, is that they've started to brand actual dispensaries to get the product out. So I'll probably touch on Sunnyside a little bit later here too. But now let's just jump into quarterly news. So they've got a definitive agreement with Bluma Wellness. They are an operator in Florida, so that's how they're going to operate in that space. Now remember, Florida was very heavy on Trulieve. It's kind of where Trulieve really took a foothold, so that would be kind of interesting. They have closed an acquisition for 4 Ohio dispensaries operated by Verdant Creations. Now they've also entered into a definitive agreement to acquire all of the equity interests in Cultiev Licensing LLC and BL Real Estate LLC, and that's actually in Massachusetts. So that is the way that Cresco Labs has been expanding. It's very similar to the other US companies too, is they're kind of gobbling up these state operators as the regulations change and those become available, these start popping up. So like a state will, legalize or accept cannabis as an industry. These independent companies start popping up in that state, and then Cresco kind of comes along and takes over that company as a way of expansion. All right, so now I'm going to put up a part of the website here that talks about some of the financial highlights. These are for Q1 of 2021. There's a revenue of 178 million, increase of 10% for the quarter and 168% year over year. Gross profit, 87 million, that's up 268% year over year. Adjusted EBITDA is 35 million, that's up 507% year over year. Record net wholesale revenues, 95.6, that's 150% year over year. And record retail revenue of 82.8 million, and that is up 193.2%. The reason I'm concentrating on the year-over-year numbers is just to show, because this is a bit of a smaller company when you compare it to Trulieve and Curaleaf, and they only operate in 10 states, you can see that these numbers get crazy because they start to grow, and that's where you get these crazy year-over-year numbers. So I'm not saying it's a necessarily like the best thing, but it's just to understand that this is a little bit of a smaller company when it's coming to these kind of like small to mid-cap cannabis companies in the US. But these are great numbers. It's really showing that it's growing. This is, you want to see this in growth stocks and things that you invest in, hoping that they grow. So you want this to continue, but you may not see these multiples year over year, but you want to see impressive numbers like this if the stock is truly growing. It shows that they're putting their money in the right places. The company has also provided a bit of guidance and a bit of a forecast for you, and saying that they will have a revenue run rate of over $1 billion by the end of the year, and profit margins in excess of 50% for the rest of the year too. So I guess they're forecasting a lot of positivity for the future. These good trends should continue. It's supposed to be maybe a little bit of a signal to investors as well that we're going in the right direction. Now the price to sales ratio on this one is interesting. The trailing 12 month is 4.66, which is the lowest of all the companies that we've seen. I think that's partly due to the fact that it's still very small, very young, it's growing. So the stock price itself is low, but the sales are impressive. So that's an indicator that compared to the rest, this one has still a lot of room, a lot of upside. But of course, like I always say, the next video when I do the comparison, I'm going to look at the PS ratio plus a bunch of other pieces of info and fundamentals on these companies to really dig deeper into which one is the best deal. Now, what do I think about this company, whether it's a buy or not? That PS ratio, very attractive. It's also not suffering from the federal government kind of legalization as much as the Canadian companies, because it's already in the States. It's doing the same thing as Trulieve and Curaleaf, and they're just expanding state by state. I think they're just a little bit younger than the other companies. But what I like about them is that they're brand focused. So when we talked about Sunnyside earlier and their dispensary, they're not like a dispensary company first and foremost. I think the other brands place a higher priority on having the dispensary as well. But I like that this company is focused on the products, because they won't necessarily care as much about having the dispensaries and the retail locations and stuff. They're really focused on the products and thinking like, if we make good products and we have a lean line or a good line and set of brands, we can actually put these on shelves in other locations and not have to worry about the retail locations so much. And perhaps that is why not having to pay for brick and mortar stores as much as some of the other brands, perhaps that's why you have a really attractive price to sales ratio, because they're still selling the products, but they don't have as bad of an overhead. It's an interesting kind of focus, and I think that's the biggest thing that makes Cresco a little bit more unique from Trulieve and Curaleaf. Now, that could change. I'm not saying they don't have these retail locations. They obviously have over 40 licenses and retail spaces, so they are building it out. But I think it makes it easier when you take over a retail space. You're not going to rebrand everything and spend all that money. You don't really care. You're just going to put your products on the shelves, which I think kind of gives them a unique take on how this is going. So they might end up with a lot of different types of chains, which I don't love, but the fact that they can easily just replace the products on the shelves and keep things in operation, that's kind of what Cresco gives me an impression of, is that sort of their angle on this. So right now I'm putting this in the group with Trulieve and Curaleaf. I might even give it a little bit of an edge maybe on one of those is probably going to be my favorite, but I don't want to forecast. I really actually hope to ask you guys in the comparison video to vote for your favorite. So I shouldn't say too much, but this is a very attractive option if you're willing to kind of wait on the stock and see if it continues to produce good numbers. I would not be as hesitant on Cresco Labs as maybe some of the others we've covered. So now remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you guys are aware when this comparison video comes out. What do you guys think of Cresco Labs? Are there any other competitors out there that are new and notable that you're curious about? I'm excited to get into this comparison because I really want to see how these stack up, how we're going to group them. I'm probably going to end up with a bit of a ranking for all the companies, but I'm going to end the video here so I can get to start doing that. So without further ado, have a great week, guys. Spread the wealth. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.